Welcome back to the Grey Couch, where we believe that marriage and life is not black or white, but many shades of grey, and we get to explore those nuances here on the couch. I'm Stanley.
And this is Otito.
Those of you that came to our webinar, just want to say thanks for joining us. We had a swell time exploring those points that we mentioned, or those three topics. The question is, what happens next? You know, we've got all this information, what do we do? But before that, I want to tell a story. I want to take us back to those bachelor days when I hadn't yet met Otito and I was still cooking, I was living by myself. And I have to say, I was a pretty decent chef, if I say so myself. Fast forward, Otito comes in, starts to put out there and put her food out there. And those of you that have tasted our food can attest she's a pretty good cook, much better than I am at least. And something remarkable, something interesting happened. All my cooking skills just vanished. So we've been stretched thin right now, a lot of work assignments, home assignments, and I'm like, okay, listen, I want to cook my own stew. I'm going to give you a break and give you the support that I need or that I want, and will help you out. I want to cook. And I cooked my very first stew in a very long time. And I have to say that the stew was a phenomenal disaster. It sucked badly. The question becomes, what happened? What happened to the guy that was on point, you know? And the question is that, are there some areas in your life, are you like me, whereby you just let this lady come in and she's good at doing the thing, but just say, you know what, I'm just going to delegate that to you, and you start using them as a crutch, you know, as opposed to a helpmate?
So I guess the question is, what happens when you try to, is it improve? Will we call this one improve, or get back to the way things used to be? What do you do then, right? Do you have to wait for all the conditions to improve? Sometimes it's even the person that will help you with it, because in this case, I'm like, make your stew however you want to make it. It's not I'm minding my business.
It was make your stew and eat your stew by yourself. I sucked at it, and I did it. I ate it proudly, as in I ate my stew proudly. It will help me the next time. But it's a myth that you have to wait for conditions to be right in order to start doing what you need to do or what you want to do. What's that? They said that the best time to start a project, the best time to start improving yourself was yesterday.
20 years ago.
Well, I was going to say yesterday. But the very next best time is today, to start now. So the question I have to answer myself is, how do I use, I will talk about it in a moment, how do I use that difficulty? It's uncomfortable. You don't want to seem like a flop. You are ashamed that, in this case, my wife will laugh at me like, okay, I thought you had this in the bag, you know, and so, you know, and who likes that discomfort? Who likes that?
But that's kind of one of the things we talked about, right, in our webinar, like you said, in terms of, you know, helping your partner bring out the best in them, even if the best is like fake stew. So, you know, you want to catch the webinar, right, in this sense.
So again, we're not saying that you should lie to your partner. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that you have to be truthful. In this case, I mean, did you taste the stew?
I didn't taste the stew, so I guess that helps me from lying. You were the one that said it was bad, and I said, okay, you know, you get to make another one.
Sure.
You get to be, you get to get better at this thing. And I mean, when he's talking about conditions being perfect, like the women too, you kind of have to, I guess, understand it from that perspective, right? Under normal circumstances, not normal, but if it was prior to that, I would have been like, leave the kitchen, let me cook. No. I'm not doing that. I'm making the conditions right for you so that you can, you know, get better at cooking your stew over and over again.
Yeah, and I kept looking at her to see if she's going to come in and be the superwoman and save the day, but she didn't. And when I realized that this person is not coming now, I got all my boots on the ground. No. So that's just one of the ways. That was a small example. It's really a small example of a stew, but you can use this in your own areas. And where are you relying on your spouse as a crutch? There's one thing to be a learning partner, someone that will teach you, or someone that you can grow with. But where are you using them as a crutch? You're like, this person, if I don't say anything, if I don't talk about it, this person will pick up the slack. And is it putting more of a strain on them than they need to be bearing? I mean, two people asking this question as in, then why did we get married? You know, I mean, I know some people have asked that question. If I'm going to be doing all the work if I feel like I'm not getting much help or much assistance, why did you get married? And this is why we got married, to help each other grow, to expand in those rough places, those rough patches that you're like, I can't do this anymore. And then the person will come and say, no, this wasn't really as bad as you thought it was. And I think if she had tasted my stew, she would have said, well, you could have pointed out here, but she missed that opportunity.
I did. I missed out on a learning opportunity. I missed out on that learning opportunity. But honestly, I feel like, if what's the word? I think that maybe because I've been in, the education space for a while, right? I'm very hard pressed to tell people that things are not good. Like, I'll tell you, okay, we could do it a little bit better here and there, but I'm not going to come out and say, oh, this work is disastrous, or this work. I always find the good, right? So maybe if I tasted the stew, the good would have been in I don't know, how cooked it was, right? How the tomato is not tasting like, or acidic, things like that. Like, you can always find something good to say in something. But then I think that also brings up the concept of, Stan needed stew for his rice. I didn't need it. So he had to go and make the stew for himself because it wasn't a pressing need for me or anything, right? It wasn't like top priority for me. Yeah, so I think we've talked about this before where, in as much as I love cooking and all that, I don't cook all the time. Like, it's not something that, it's not mandated, right? In that sense, I do it because I love it and all that. But if I'm not able to cook, then I'm not able to cook. So in this case, I guess, the other partner is like, if I really need this stew, I need to go and do something about it fast, right? In that sense. And so the question then becomes, like I said, small example, but there's a lot of learning around that because there are many, many things that a person can say, oh, I want to pick up and do, right? And you may be stumbling because you haven't done it in a while, and you're also looking for the other partner to come and give you a helping hand, and then that becomes an issue if they don't give you a helping hand. But part of the process is recognizing, okay, I chose to do this, I'm trying to support them, and I'm going to do whatever it takes without always looking over my shoulder to see, are they appreciating all these things that I'm doing? Are they noticing that I'm even doing all of this, right? Obviously, if the other partner's love language is acts of service, they will notice. But if it's not, then you're doing it for your own learning as well as supporting them, right? So those are all the things that are tied around that, because then if they don't notice, are you going to say you'll not, in this case, you'll not cook stew again, right?
No, don't joke.
Then you go very hungry in that sense. Although you can say there's Chick-fil-A out there that I can go, buy food, right? So again, none of these examples are, what's the word? Like it's shattering or anything, but it just kind of tells you the little things that can go on, and one thing can become a very big thing. It's kind of because of all the conversations that we keep having around this of saying, however your stew turns out, you're gonna have to just, learn from it, right? But what you cannot do is throw in my tomatoes. There's inflation out here, bro.
I have to say, I'm excited about my next opportunity to make another stew, and that's what that's another thing. As in, you have to stay consistent. Whatever the thing is, you have to stay consistent with, even when you're seemingly not seeing any results.
Yeah.
Keep on sowing that seed, keep on watering that seed, and keep on improving, because hey, this is for me. So next time when I've mastered this, if she tries to do shakara, for those of you that don't know what shakara means, you can find out from your Nigerian friends. I'll be like, hey, you can hold your peace. I've got this stew down,
And I think the other thing that I wanted to say is that any skill can atrophy, right? Anything that you think, oh, I'm really good at it, if you don't practice it, if you don't do it enough, it goes away. And that's the thing about the little acts of kindness for relationship, right? You don't do it one time, you don't do it 2 times. Before you know it, you have gone through this drought, this stretch of, is it forgetting or getting into complacency mode, right? Like that's literally what it was. And then you turn around and say, what happened, what happened to this relationship, right? What happened is that the stew making skills, atrophied.
So that's what we have for you for this week. And Mother's Day is around the corner. Don't let those skills atrophy in terms of appreciating
the wife and the mother of the children. Even if they don't have any children, they're still mother, right? I feel like the mothering instinct is just there in all of us women. So yeah.
So if you missed the webinar and you want us to get a replay, connect with us at this email. We'll send you a rebroadcast of the webinar. And from our couch to yours, keep on practicing those skills.